How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Pocahontas, aka Elizabeth Warren, and her speech about reparations at Clark Atlanta University, which is an historically black college. Now, there's a whole lot to get through, a whole lot to quote unquote unpack here, as the cool kids would say. And if you want to see that full speech, I'll link to that in the description box below. She covered everything up under the sun that a black person could claim as some kind of victimhood narrative, martyr status, or whatever the case may be. You talking about segregation, Jim Crow, the 94 crime bill, which the Democratic Party was the driving force behind, but I digress. Everything up under the sun was covered in a very short speech. But let's get back to the main topic, reparations. Now, she said that she wants to support Sheila Jackson Lee's legislation, HR 40. Now, if you have not read that, I'll link to that in the box. But what it says in a nutshell is we have to study the effects of slavery, segregation, on this day and the third to see what the possible compensation would be. How are we going to repay the wrongs of the past? What are we really going to do? Let's talk about it. Let's have a full-blown conversation about it. Now, this is what Democrats always do to the black community. They give out like olive branches that are not genuine. They just throw things out there they know they're not really going to do. Empty promises, fake olive branches, because look, slavery in the USA ended in 1865. Okay, so if we're going to have a study on slavery, 100 years later, 150 years later, like, what are we doing? Have we not been studying it for this amount of time since it ended? Do we not know what it was? Do we not know who was involved? I mean, why are we going to study that right now in 2019 going into 2020? Well, the reason why they're going to have a quote unquote study about the situation is because they're not going to do anything but study it. They'll come out there, okay, say we passed legislation, whoop-de-whoop, let's study it. That'll be the end. They're not going to give reparations. It ain't going to happen. This is a pipe dream. People on the internet talking about let's get together, let's form this group, let's form that group. We're going to get checks. It ain't going to happen. It's really not. It's a pie in the sky dream, and Democrats know that. It's like a carrot they lead you with. Come vote for me. We'll talk about having reparations. Meanwhile, other things like DACA, amnesty, those things get passed. Ain't no point in having a reparations study and none of that. Nah, let's just pass it right now. Okay? When you're serious about a thing, you go out there and just pass it and it's done. When you're not serious, you talk about studies and we got to examine it. We got to have a conversation. It's BS. Okay? Total BS from the Democratic Party as usual. When I was over there on the left, I would see things like this all the time. This ain't nothing new. They always talk like this. Empty promises is how it goes. Okay? Furthermore, people always ask me, hey, ABL, reparations, are you for it, against it? I'm against it, and the main reason is because most people cannot track their ancestry beyond their great-grandparents, and that's the reality. Beyond that, most of us are not 100% black. If you could find an African-American that's 80% West African DNA, you're doing a great job. Most of us are mixed. So if you have a slave master in your past, or you were descendant of a black slave owner, how do you get a check from the federal government for reparations? Furthermore, if it comes from the government, isn't that my own money? The left, they want to tax everything. In Pocahontas' speech, she was talking about the wealth tax. Oh, it's only 2 cents. Yeah, 2 cents to the dollar. And if you have, look at it like this to put it in perspective, to put it into context. If you have $1 billion, how much would 2 cents to the dollar be at the end when you calculate it? $20 million. So if you have 10 billion, 100 billion, it's going to add up. It's not a small amount of money. You understand what I'm saying? It is a big amount of money. And at a certain point, it's like, okay, well, what are we really doing here? Are you going to take all of our wealth? And when I say ours, I mean the United States. The money that's here in the States that rich people have, they invest back into their companies. Why? It's because they're altruistic. It's because they want to. Not necessarily. It's called competition. if I am a rich guy with a company, like let's say I own Chick-fil-A, right? If I dump money into Chick-fil-A to give workers more money, I know it's franchise, but it's a different story. Let's just say I have corporate stores and they're not franchise. I dump more money into those to give workers more pay. Then right across the street, you got Wendy's, you got Popeyes, you got McDonald's, you got KFC. They got to do the same thing to compete to get the good employees that are going to work for the higher amounts of money. It's called competition. It's not a hard thing to understand. You give them more money, they invest more back into their business to make more money for themselves and also to prevent from being overtaken by competitors. It's simple. But see, the Democrats, they know that, but they take advantage of our ignorance as regular people, regardless of race, to tell us things that aren't really true. Oh, the 2% tax not going to hurt. The Green New Deal is a great thing. There was one big whopper in here. She was talking about, oh, we got to combat the black female mortality rates during pregnancy to protect the women and their babies. It's like, okay, wouldn't the best thing to protect babies be to outlaw abortion or to at least prevent it or not promote it? How are you going to be a big time proponent of abortion going out here to Planned Parenthood, wearing the t-shirts, going to the rallies, and at the same time talk about how you want to protect the life of babies? I don't really understand. But then again, I do. They want to tell you, the regular normie out there, that a baby in the womb is not a baby. It's a clump of cells. But at what point does it become a baby? You know, there's a development cycle. At what point does a clump of cells just overnight become a baby? When does that happen? People say, oh, it's 18 weeks, it's 20 weeks. Well, why not 17 weeks, 6 days? Why not 19 weeks, 6 days? Why is it 20, 18, 22, whatever the case may be? There's no science behind it. It's just an arbitrary line that's drawn. Life starts at conception. People like Pocahontas don't want to talk about that. They want to come out here to Clark Atlanta, a black college, and stop short of eating a plate of fried chicken and some watermelon and say, hey, you know what, reparations, throw that out there. We'll talk about it. Meanwhile, stuff like DACA and everything else, oh, no, ain't no conversation, ain't no discussion, and, you know, waiting 100 years to get feedback. No. We're going to do that right now. And they do it. That's how these things work. When you're serious about a thing, you go out there and just get her done. When you're not serious, when you're playing around, beating around the bush, you say, oh, we'll talk about it. We'll have a discussion. They are not serious. She is not serious. If you ask every Democrat candidate out there, they'll say, reparations, I'm open to talking about it. Let's have a discussion. What more is there to say? Like I said, slavery, been over with since 1865. Jim Crow, 1960. Okay, 150 years ago, 60 years ago. Where are we going? How long is it going to take to get there? Are we there yet? People aren't serious on the Democrat side of things. Over here on the right, we're pushing for things that are going to actively help. People like Pocahontas say that the 94 crime bill was bad and she wants to help fix it, although her man, Slick Willie, and her other man, Joe Biden, were the ones that were behind it. Beyond that, we're actually trying to fix the wrongs in that in a deeper way. Barack Obama started it a little bit, and then we came in and added more to make it more effective. So what is she going to do to stop that? A conversation? Okay, Trump gets in here. He's not been here 3 years yet. And that problem right there with the 94 crime bill has already been completed. She'll talk about it, but what will the actual action be? She should have legislation right now already drawn up and go to the college and say, hey, here's my plan. Put it on the overhead projector. Here's my plan, point by point. Does she have that? No, we'll talk about it. We'll have a conversation. When you say we'll talk about it, that means you probably don't want to talk. That's how that is. That's how Pocahontas is. That's how pretty much all the Democrats are. Do not let them fool you. As I close, I want to say this. Reparations, will it happen? I doubt it. Definitely not from the Democratic Party. We'll talk about it. That means they're not going to do it. They'll tell you that maybe it could happen. Maybe we'll talk about it just to keep you strung along. Like I said, you just holding the carrot in front of them and you keep pushing it down the road. The closer they get to it, because you're never really going to get it. The whole objective is to get you from point A to point B. Once you get to point B, you get nothing, but you give them something. You give them their vote, and then They'll be gone for 3 more years until next election cycle. They'll come right back with the same rhetoric. They do that every single time. It's not at this point anything new or exciting or bold. It's nothing but the same old BS from the same old leftists. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think Pocahontas was serious about reparations and actually wanting to give them, or is it a matter of, well, we're going to study it? If you think she'll give it, let me know why in the comments below. Why would Pocahontas give reparations when other presidents in the past have said the same thing? We'll study it, we'll talk about it, with nothing to show as a result. Do you think they'll be handed out at any point in their time? If that's your viewpoint, how will this happen? What will the catalyst be to make this so? And if we get reparations, who gets them? Is it going to be based upon your West African DNA? And what if you came here recently as an immigrant way beyond slavery? It's a lot of questions I got about the whole thing, but what I want to know is, do you think Pocahontas is serious, or the Democratic Party in general? Are they serious, or are you just trying to get your vote? Whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.